adjustment to occur. Today we call that the Schwatka imperative. And that is that it takes a while for ketosis to kick in, for the ketogenic diet to kick in. If you decide you're going to go ketogenic to lose weight, which is really one of the best things that the ketogenic diet does, among other things, of course, but you could lose weight very effectively with it, but it takes a couple of weeks to adjust. Schwatka was describing what's called keto adaptation. And keto adaptation takes a couple of weeks. Sometimes people they call this the keto flu. They'll actually feel a little yucky when they first start the ketogenic diet as their body's adjusting. This is the secret right here. You want your body to adjust to the fat. You want your body to be a fat burner. We are not fat burners. Witness the obesity epidemic. The obesity epidemic is a direct result of us being sugar burners and not fat burners. So we don't burn our fat, we store our fat. Carbs make you store fat. Ketosis makes you burn fat. Do you want to be a fat burner or do you want to be a sugar burner? Bonus, the body prefers to use fats. It requires less heat, less processing to use fats for energy. Ketones are super high energy and don't require anywhere near the processing that sugars do. There's another guy, another scientist, this historian. This is really interesting. So this historian, he's studying and living with the Inuit. This is probably 1900, somewhere around the early 20th century. And he's living with the Inuit, and he's eating what they eat. He eats just whale blubber and reindeer. And he doesn't eat and fish probably. He doesn't eat any grains, any carbs, any fruits, any vegetables for a year and a half, and he does fine. He writes about it. He comes back, and he tells everybody, and doctors, everybody thought he was a whack job. This is what scientists do. When somebody comes up with something that flies in the face of the common knowledge, the common wisdom, they get laughed at. The ketogenic diet, Dr. Atkins was one of the first guys to really get this thing going in the 1970s, 1980s. They laughed at him. The ketogenic diet is just another example in a long list of biochemically logical and coherent and effective strategies that the mainstream laughs at. The list is almost endless of what the mainstream laughs at and considers to be marginal and considers to be a quackery. Nutritional supplementation not too long ago was considered quackery. Just now, it's starting to get credibility because it works. So anyway, this guy Stephenson, his name is ketogenic. He comes back and tells people about what was basically the ketogenic diet, and they laugh at him. So to prove his claim, they do an experiment. They lock him up in a hospital and they monitor him for a year and a half. Not just any hospital, Bellevue Insane Asylum, by the way. And they monitor him. They watch what he's doing. And they feed him the most incredible amounts of fat, the most incredible amounts of protein, the most incredible amounts of carb. And does Stephenson convulse? Does he get fatigued and weak? Well, no, he doesn't. Long story short. We'll finish up when we come back. We'll finish up tomorrow. I've got lots more to say about the ketogenic diet. I want to get to your calls. 844-236-6010 is our number. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We are back on the bright side. Pharmacist Ben here. 844-236-6010 is our number. If you want to leverage the ketogenic diet, I can think of no better way than to use bone broth protein. And if you have a connective tissue health issue, and many of our breakdown diseases are degenerative diseases, if not all degenerative diseases involve connective tissue, there's no better protein going than bone broth protein. As you know, I've been talking about bone broth for years. If you don't want to carry around a thermos of bone broth, or if you don't have time to make bone broth, and a lot of people don't have time to make bone broth, you can get bone broth protein from brightsidehealth.com. Brightsidehealth.com. It's packed with the amino acids that are in bone broth, not to mention glucosamine and hyaluronic acid and all that wonderful cartilaginous substance that is so important for building connective tissue in the immune system. By the way, you know glucosamine is one of the all-time great underappreciated strategies for mimicking the low-carb diet. Yes, glucosamine, and for that matter, glutamine. So you can use your bone broth protein, which is rich in glutamine and rich in glucosamine, as part of a ketogenic diet protocol. And you can find out all about it at brightsidehealth.com. 844-236-6010 is our number. Let's take our first phone call of the morning and go to Pam. Good morning, Pam. What's going on?
Hi, good morning, Ben. I'm calling about my son, who's 39. He's been very physically fit and active his whole life. A Navy submariner for 20 years, 19 and a half, actually.
Okay.
Recently diagnosed with HOCM, cardiomyopathy, an unknown DNA type.
No. Unknown DNA type nonsense. He's got cardiomyopathy. He's got a heart problem. Is it an enlarged heart, right?
Correct.
Okay. So here's the deal. The heart is working really hard when it's enlarged. It doesn't just get enlarged. Yes, the DNA is involved and genetics are involved because genetics is involved in everything. But the question is, why is his heart working so hard? It's like a muscle. When you go to the gym and lift weights, your muscles get bigger. So if your heart's working really hard, that means it's working. I'm sorry, if your heart's getting bigger, that means it's working hard. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, we got to calm everything down. Calm everything down. What's his height to weight?
6'3", 210 pounds.
Is he like all lean and mean and muscly?
I'd say yes.
Okay. This happens. This happens to athletes a lot. So we got to figure out, what is his heart working so hard about? To do it really effectively, you got to look for other symptoms. Okay? And they're going to be very subtle, but he's got to find them. If you just want to do things, shotgun approach, which might not be a bad idea to do, you want to start supporting the heart right away. Ketones, by the way, I don't know if you've heard the program the last few days or weeks or months. We've been talking about ketones. The heart loves ketones. So going low carb, high, moderate protein, high fat can help them. Also using cardiac or heart and circulatory system supplements can help. The B vitamins, of course, are extremely important for the heart. Omega fatty acids are extremely important for the heart. There's a really cool amino acid kind of substance called carnitine. It's not really an amino acid, I don't think, but it's similar. Carnitine is a wonderful heart health supplement. It helps the heart get fueled. So getting a little carnitine might not be a bad idea. A gram or two of that a day. And then let's see here, what else? Magnesium, super duper important, and all the essential fatty acids, but particularly omega 3s I would be using for the neurology aspect of the heart. And then if he has anything clogging up his blood vessels, if his heart's working against pressure in the blood vessels, that's going to be another strategy. And you know that by digestive health issues. If he's got any gut problems, if he's got bloating or discomfort after he eats, anything, you may not know that, but that's something that he wants to look at. Oxygenation is, of course, that's the heart. That's the main role of the circulatory, one of the main roles. The most important role of the circulatory system is to deliver oxygen and to remove acids and carbon dioxide. So making sure he's breathing correctly. Slow, deep breathing. Extremely, extremely important for helping improve heart health. There's so many more things you could do. There's, in addition to magnesium, also zinc is very important for the heart, and selenium is very important for the heart. Vitamin A is very important for the heart. So get him on the Healthy Start Pack, work on the digestive system, and then the targeted supplements that we just talked about, and then also the ketogenic diet might be something else he wants to think about. Okay? Anything else?
Awesome. Would you want him to follow through with taking metoprolol and Lipitor?
That's the stupidest. Is that what they're giving this young guy?
Yes, that's what they want him to take. I'm glad.
All right, they take this Navy SEAL or submariner, which is super cool, by the way. He was a SEAL, right?
No, just a Navy diver.
Oh, yeah, that's still super cool stuff. All right. They take this guy in the prime of his life. He's a strapping young man. What did you say? How old is he?
39.
39, strapping young, not exactly a young man, but strapping anyway. And they're going to drug him with two horrible drugs, Lipitor not being anywhere near as bad as the beta blocker, metoprolol, which is commonly dispensed. This is terrible, absolutely terrible. But what's even more terrible is if your son participates. It's terrible that they're doing it, but if your son complies with it, that's double terrible. My opinion only. And don't forget vitamin C, also extremely important for the heart. The Healthy Start Pack will get him his vitamin C. And if you want to do one more thing, vitamin E, 400 IU a day. There's so many things, really, but that's a great start for you. Okay?
Okay. And I forgot to mention sleep apnea. Maybe
that's all part of the, hey, that's what I'm telling you. It's all part of the same picture. He's not getting oxygenated. It's all part of the deal here. There's probably other things there too, Pamela. You got to find all the symptoms and collect them. You got to collect the dots before you can connect the dots. So you got to get as many symptoms as you can. I'm always asking people for symptoms, and we don't think of things as symptoms because we're so used to plugging ahead, especially if he's a Navy diver. We're so used to plugging ahead. Well, we just put our symptoms on the back burner, but they tell us a story. Our symptoms are our body talking to us. It's telling us the story of their life. Our body is telling us the story of its life via the symptoms, and it's really important to find them. You know what I'm saying? People don't just have an enlarged heart. All right?
Ben, they say we need more Davids, and I say we need more Bens. God bless you and for your show.
Praise God. Thank you. That's beautiful. I appreciate that, Pamela. Have a great day. Okay, bye-bye. That was kind. I appreciate that. All right, Amy in Denver, what's going on?
Hi.
Hey.
I have an 8-year-old daughter.
Yes.
Who is showing signs of developing type 1 diabetes. Specifically, she is now positive for GAD.
Okay.
And I'm wondering what to do to try to reverse that.
What else does she have? Again, just like we were talking about the last gal, autoimmune diseases typically follow digestive issues, milk especially with type 1 diabetes. Is she a milk drinker?
She is. I haven't noticed that she has any difficulty with milk, however. She doesn't complain of a stomach ache.
You have not noticed?
No.
It doesn't mean anything. I mean, noticing is the best way to do it, but she could be having some kind of immune reaction and just not noticing it, or she may not be saying anything. You know, so don't go by that. If she's a kid, go by the symptoms. Autoimmune diseases typically mean something's getting into the blood that's triggering the immune system. And now the immune system has somehow been activated against itself. Autoimmunity has a fascinating mechanism that is very rarely addressed, and that is toxicity in the blood that ultimately gets dumped in various organs, soft tissues like the pancreas and the thyroid. Can you hold on a minute, Amy? We got a break.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. 844-236-6010 is our number. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. We are back on The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. Talking to Amy in Denver about type 1 diabetes. And, well, diabetes in general is a blood sugar issue, as you know, so keeping her carbs down to a minimum or whatever she can get away with, whatever. You know, she's a kid. More protein means less carbs, just so you know. Okay? So and kids especially are burning through protein. They're growing. So getting your kid more protein, and for that matter, more fat, good fat, is a great low insulin-reducing and blood sugar processing kind blood sugar processing life strategy, if you will. So keeping her sugar down, protein and fat up, that's one thing. You have her do a little glutamine supplementation, and then look for digestive problems, particularly food intolerances. What happens when the body starts to break down at the intestinal level over the course of years of the wrong kinds of foods, you get little leaks, leaky gut syndrome, this is called, and everybody who's got a long-term degenerative health crisis, including autoimmunity, has got at least some degree of leaky gut. It's just how the body breaks down via this triangle of disease model we talk about. So the gut becomes permeable to stuff that gets into the blood. The blood's on the other side of the gut. Eventually, the blood starts to become toxic and sludgy, and the immune system gets activated in the blood. And these little tiny particles called circulating immune complexes, or CICs, which are basically little bubbles of protective immune cells and food particles, or little blobs, they get dumped out into the various structures, soft tissues of the body, and that includes the pancreas. So anytime there's an autoimmune disease, you've got these circulating immune complexes, and you've got deposition in the soft tissue. That's a very interesting but maybe complicated way of saying fix the gut. Look for food intolerances. Use probiotics. Get her on the nightly essence. Use fermented foods if she'll do the sauerkraut and miso and tempeh and anything you do that's fermented. Use veggie juices. Have her do a veggie juice every morning. You could throw a little beet in there to make it sweet for her, a little bit. Beets, by the way, are great for diabetics. Celery also, cucumber. Start off her day with bone broth protein instead of cereal, and milk. Start off her day with she may have a problem with whey protein. That's one of the neat advantages, by the way, the bone broth protein. It doesn't have the same kind of allergic or intolerance potential that whey